BBC presenter Jason Manford has quit The One Show after admitting he'd flirted with female fans over the internet via Twitter. Well, he's not the first person to land himself in trouble using the social networking site. Joining me here to discuss this is the social media expert Paul Armstrong, and from Cambridge, blogger Milo Yiannopoulos, who was recently involved in a Twitter row with Stephen Fry. Afternoon to you both. Paul, I'll ask you first. I use Twitter. The thing is about it, everyone sees it.
Yep.
You've got to be pretty stupid to be sending messages that you shouldn't be.
There's no right or wrong way to use Twitter. There are sort of better ways to use it than others, I think. I always advise clients, if you wouldn't tell your grandmother, don't put it out on Twitter, and don't think that anything will remain secret forever. And I think that's pretty good advice for everyone who's using that.
Yeah, good advice. Is it adhered to? I mean, it clearly isn't in somebody who is an intelligent person in the public domain. What's the common misconception? Why do people fall under this spell?
I think there's a psychology of when you use computers about that it's very anonymous and that people don't know who each other are. But of course, everything can be tracked back, and people can find you, and information stays on the internet for a lot longer than most people realise.
Milo, I mean, you're savvy to these sorts of things, and yet, you know, an exchange of words becomes a big row, as it did in your case.
Yeah, I think it's a bit peculiar how much attention people pay to Twitter, but the important thing to remember for celebrities is that they do have a responsibility to be careful what they say, and the problem, I think, with celebrities on Twitter is that we get this direct access into their world, and we sometimes realise that they're not who we thought they were, because they no longer have those layers of protection. They don't have the PR, they don't have the image consultants, and we see sometimes that they can be unpleasant, they can be illiterate, they can be people who are not very attractive to be around.
Is it better then when people are using it for... I mean, people are obviously all using it for their own purposes, aren't they? Or are some just being voyeuristic? I don't know.
I think it's a mixture. Some people just sort of surf around Twitter and listen to what other people are saying. Some people broadcast. They're not really interested in what other people say. They just want to do their own thing. And others use it for conversation. It really depends. Your other guest is quite right. There's no correct way to use it.
And egotistical as well, I guess, Milo, because when you clock up your followers, you think, oh, all those people are interested in my life.
There is a temptation to get hooked on the number of followers you have. It's not a particularly meaningful measure of anything, though.
Paul, do you think that the boundaries between our real lives and our virtual lives that we play out on Facebook, on Twitter, are blurring somewhat?
I would definitely agree with that. I think we're fast becoming a nation of oversharers. We do seem to share every single minutiae of our days. Some do in a lot of their lives, some do in very peculiar ways. I think it's all about what you want and what you take from it. That's what the internet's given us. It's given us the option to find a lot of what we call signal or good information and sort of ignore the other stuff. So it's up to you who you follow on Twitter, and I think that's the big part that most people forget when they use the service. You don't have to follow everyone.
Legally, though, as Milo knows, I mean, you do have to be careful what you say. I mean, because you are effectively publishing a comment when you post it on Facebook or Twitter, and that means it's in the public domain, and, you know, legal proceedings could follow, as people have found out recently.
Absolutely. There's a lot of legal cases that are going on right now which will, if they go through, set precedent, and obviously that's a very interesting kettle of fish to sort of get into.
Milo, do you think it's just going to expand from here? I mean, Facebook, I guess, was the original that most people who certainly work with computers, live with computers, have a Facebook site. Twitter is the up-and-coming and does seem that it's going to be around to stay as very useful. Is there going to be more developments of this kind, and are we all going to have to be more careful?
Well, first of all, there will be more networks of this kind. Social is the new big thing on the internet. There will be more networks like Facebook and Twitter, although Facebook and Twitter are probably here to stay. They may have something to do with geolocation, which is a big thing at the moment, with people wanting to know not just what they're doing, but where they're doing it. We're going to have to be very, very careful. I blog a lot about privacy. One of the problems with all of this stuff is that increasingly not only are we getting ourselves into trouble about what we say, but we're also letting other people know where we are and what we're doing. And there are privacy implications for that. There are also implications for simple things like burglary.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone knows where you are at the moment, though. Milo, thank you very much indeed. Milo Yiannopoulos and Paul Armstrong, thank you both for joining us.